Chapter 211. Regardless of Yang Huiying's struggle behind him, Tang Zhongyi just wanted his little girl to return to the way she used to be when she relied on him. Zhao Zhao. He wanted to get closer to her, but Gu Shengyin, who shouldn't have any reaction, walked a little to the other side. Tang Zhongyi remembered the expert's words, "People like Miss Ning are most afraid of being provoked. Their hearts are hard to open, but it's easy to close again because of a provocation." That damned woman. Tang Zhongyi thought of the woman whose name he didn't know, and there was a burst of anger in his heart. He was afraid of provoking Ning Zhao, so he had to follow her carefully all the way. He sat with her for a while before he had to leave because of the company's business. Before he left, Tang Zhongyi specially told the housekeeper that there must be someone to watch Ning Zhao's side and not let any random people disturb her. Because of what happened before, the housekeeper felt that he was not doing his job well and quickly nodded. At night, Tang Zhongyi came to Gu Shengyin's room. As expected, he saw her sitting on the side with wet hair. He shook his head and smiled, reaching for a towel. Seeing that Ning Zhao seemed to want to hide again, he held her down and didn't let her move. "Don't move. If you don't dry your hair, you'll have a headache when you sleep." He knew that she could understand. Sure enough, Gu Shengyin slowly stopped moving and let him dry her wet hair. Tang Zhongyi put the towel aside and gently watched Ning Zhao obediently climb onto the bed, cover herself with a quilt, and close her eyes motionlessly. He looked at her like that, only feeling infinite tenderness in his heart. Suddenly, his heart moved. Gu Shengyin only felt a soft thing gently touching her forehead, and then, there was a soft good night. "Host, what should I do at this time?" Gu Shengyin asked. "System. Keep silent. People like Ning Zhao can actually act coquettishly with people close to them. Host can become more intimate with your lover after you become more familiar with him." Gu Shengyin only felt that her system was the role model of the system world. Not only did it never force the host to do anything against her will, it even encouraged the host to fall in love. Tang Zhongyi saw the girl's eyelids move slightly, but she didn't open them. Obviously, she acquiesced to his previous action. He was very surprised, but he didn't dare to disturb her. He just turned off the light for her considerately and left gently. Neither of them mentioned Yang Huiying's matter. Gu Shengyin knew Ning Zhao's character and wouldn't talk about it at all. Tang Zhongyi didn't take this matter to heart at all. As for the housekeeper, he didn't have time. Therefore, Tang Zhongyi and Gu Shengyin were surprised when Tang Zhongqing, the eldest young master of the Tang family, came in with Yang Huiying. "Why is this woman here?" He looked at Yang Huiying with an unfriendly expression. Tang Zhongqing looked at his brother in surprise. "You know Miss Yang?" Tang Zhongyi glanced at her. "We don't know each other. We just have some unpleasant past." Tang Zhongqing smiled and said, "You're a big man, so why bother with a girl? Let me introduce you. This is Yang Huiying, Miss Yang. She will be Xiao Qian's piano tutor in the future. Every afternoon at 3 p.m., she will come to teach Xiao Qian how to play the piano." Tang Zhongyi looked over and was about to speak when Tang Zhongqing blocked his brother's mouth with a sentence. "Miss Yang saved our Xiao Qian on the road today. You didn't have any misunderstandings before, so let it go." Chapter 212. Since she had saved his nephew, Tang Zhongyi couldn't just chase her away. Tang Zhongqing asked the housekeeper to take Yang Huiying to Xiao Qian's room while he took a call and left in a hurry. Tang Zhongyi walked up to Yang Huiying and said, "You saved Xiao Qian, so I won't argue with you about what happened before. Remember, don't get close to Zhao Zhao again." He left with Ning Zhao, leaving Yang Huiying alone with indignation. Yang Huiying was a sweet talker and had saved Tang Qian before, so it was easy for her to win his favor. She found that she rarely saw Master Tang and Ning Zhao when she came to the Tang house every day. Actually, it was normal. Father Tang and the two brothers went to the company every day, and Mother Tang had her own business outside. Besides, they wouldn't spend time on a tutor. Ning Zhao didn't go out without anyone, except for practicing in the morning and taking a walk in the afternoon. One day, she couldn't help but secretly ask Tang Qian, "Xiao Qian, there's a girl in your family who likes to wear white dresses. She's very beautiful and doesn't like to talk. Is she the daughter of your Tang family? Tang Qian blinked and said, Are you talking about Auntie Zhao Zhao? In fact, he preferred to call her sister Zhao Zhao, but his uncle didn't let him. Yang Huiying heard Tang Zhongyi call Gu Shengyin that way and nodded. Tang Qian said, Auntie Zhao Zhao isn't part of our family. Grandma said that Auntie Zhao Zhao is very pitiful. Her parents are no longer around, so Grandpa and Grandma brought her to live with us. He suddenly covered his mouth and whispered to Yang Huiying, Dad told me not to tell anyone, especially Auntie Zhao Zhao. She can't know. Ms. Yang, you have to keep it a secret for me. Yang Huiying nodded and said, Of course, I won't tell anyone. She didn't think so in her heart. It turned out that the girl was just living under someone else's roof, but she still acted like a rich missy. Thinking of Ning Zhao's appearance that day, her heart skipped a beat. It seemed that she didn't know how to speak. She glanced at the innocent Tang Qian, lowered her voice and said patiently, I had a small misunderstanding with your Auntie Zhao Zhao and wanted to apologize to her, but your Auntie Zhao Zhao didn't seem to care about me and didn't want to talk to me. Tang Qian liked Gu Shengyin very much. He was afraid that Yang Huiying would misunderstand her, so he quickly said, Teacher Yang, don't blame Auntie Zhao Zhao. Auntie Zhao Zhao never speaks in our house. Dad said that when she was born, God opened a window for her, so Sister Zhao Zhao didn't like to talk to others and only liked to be alone. He thought for a moment and added, But Sister Zhao Zhao plays the piano very well. It's a pity she can't teach me. Seeing that Yang Huiying didn't speak, Tang Qian thought that Teacher Yang was unhappy because of his words. He quickly said, Teacher Yang also plays the piano very well. I like it very much. Yang Huiying came back to her senses and said with a smile, Teacher Yang doesn't blame Qian. In that case, Lil Qian, let's treat our conversation today as a little secret between the two of us. We won't tell anyone, okay? Tang Qian nodded heavily. Yang Huiying already had an idea in her heart. According to Tang Qian, this girl named Zhao Zhao was clearly autistic. It was said that people with autism had some eccentricities and sharp personalities. No wonder Tang Zhongyi was so nervous at that time. When she thought of this, her ill feelings towards Tang Zhongyi actually disappeared. Chapter 213. Yang Huiying came to the Tang house at 3 in the afternoon every day, and Ning Zhao's schedule was to take a nap until 2 in the afternoon. After that, she would get up and walk for an hour before going to the piano room to practice. It just so happened that it coincided with Yang Huiying's time to teach Tang Qian, so the two didn't have much time to meet. But one day, Yang Huiying deliberately came to the Tang house an hour early. Gu Shengyin was taking a walk. Tang Zhongyi wasn't at home, and several servants of the Tang family followed behind her. This was an order from the butler. They couldn't let Miss Ning stay alone. Before Yang Huiying could reach Gu Shengyin, she was stopped by a middle-aged woman with a kind face. Yang Huiying looked a little disapproving. This person called Zhao Zhao was clearly just living under someone else's roof. She was even worse than her. What right did she have to put on such airs? But she said with a smile, I had some misunderstandings with Miss Ning before. Today, I'm here to apologize. The servant who had been sternly warned by the butler not to let strangers get close to Miss Ning was polite, but the meaning behind her words was not at all clear. I'm sorry, Mississippi Miss Ning likes to be alone. Yang Huiying tried to persuade her, but she couldn't get close to Ning Zhao. She left angrily. She was interested in Tang Zhongyi, so she moved her thoughts to Ning Zhao. Looking at Tang Zhongyi's appearance that day, it was obvious that he was very concerned about Ning Zhao. If she could get along well with Ning Zhao, Tang Zhongyi's opinion of her would change. Unfortunately, she glared hatefully at the helpers standing not far behind Ning Zhao. These people were really old-fashioned. In the next few days, Yang Huiying didn't give up, but in the end, she helplessly found that Ning Zhao's path didn't work at all. She was too well protected by the Tang family and there was no way to get close to her. But Yang Huiying also confirmed her thoughts. Ning Zhao did have autistic tendencies. She chatted with the servants and even deliberately raised her voice to attract her attention, but it was useless. Ning Zhao had been standing quietly by herself or walking forward. She didn't react to her or the servants at all. Looking at Ning Zhao like this, Yang Huiying only felt a lot better. Look, so what if you have this proud beauty and outstanding talent? Not only that, you've even lost the most basic and most normal ability? But on the other hand, she still felt that it was unfair. Why? For someone like Ning Zhao, even if she was in such a situation, even if she had lost her parents, she could still receive the meticulous care and love of the Tang family. At the very least, she had always been a carefree young lady, unlike herself, who had to work hard for herself and her life at such a young age. On this day, Tang Zhongyi came back from work. Just as he entered the door, he met Yang Huiying. He looked straight ahead and was about to leave when he heard Yang Huiying shout behind him, "Mr. Tang." Tang Zhongyi turned his head. What was this woman trying to do? Yang Huiying glanced at Tang Zhongyi. She felt that after not seeing him for a few days, this man seemed to be even more charming. She felt that her face was a little hot and said shyly in a low voice, "Last time I quarreled with Miss Ning Zhao, it was my fault. I didn't know she had that kind of illness." "Shut up." Tang Zhongyi frowned and looked at her sternly. "Who told you that Zhao Zhao is sick? She just doesn't like to talk." Yang Huiying was caught off guard by his reprimand. She felt wronged and suppressed her anger. "Anyway, it's my fault. I'm here to apologize to you." Tang Zhongyi didn't comment. "There's no need to apologize. I still say what I said before. It's best if you don't appear in front of Zhao Zhao again." Chapter 214. Yang Huiying helplessly watched Tang Zhongyi leave without looking back. She only felt wronged in her heart. She was considered a beauty, and there was no lack of people pursuing her. How could she lower herself to apologize? Not only did he not appreciate it, but he also spoke so coldly. But, thinking of Tang Zhongyi's face, Yang Huiying could not blame him. She could only transfer her anger to Ning Zhao. It was all this woman's fault. If it were not for her, she would not have left such a bad first impression on Tang Zhongyi. Gu Shengyin was playing the last song when she was suddenly reminded by the system, target Yang Huiying's hatred towards the host has increased to 30%. Gu Shengyin's fingers pressed the last key, and the melodious music stopped. Why? She was puzzled. Even if they had a conflict before, Yang Huiying's hatred towards her was only 10%. How could it suddenly increase by 20 points? The system flashed for a while and replied, "The system has detected that Yang Huiying's main emotional direction is jealousy and anger." Jealousy of Gu Shengyin was understandable, but anger? She suddenly thought of something. Is Yang Huiying attracted to Tang Zhongyi? The system said, when Yang Huiying met Tang Zhongyi, she had abnormal heart rate, a small rise in body temperature, and an increase in brainwave activity. After testing, it is consistent with the possibility of attraction in humans. Gu Shengyin knew what this anger situation was. Thinking about it carefully, she was not wrong to take the blame. "Zhao Zhao." Tang Zhongyi walked over. Gu Shengyin smiled at him for the first time. Tang Zhongyi was surprised and happy. Did this mean that Zhao Zhao was closer to him? He was happy and tentatively held Gu Shengyin's hand. He was happy to find that her hand slightly retracted, but did not take it back. Although Gu Shengyin's smile only appeared for a short moment, it was enough for Tang Zhongyi to be happy. He held Gu Shengyin's hand all the way back. In the evening, Tang Zhongyi wiped Gu Shengyin's hair as usual. After Gu Shengyin lay on the bed, Tang Zhongyi gently gave her a good-night kiss and slowly retreated. On the other hand, Yang Huiying didn't give up. She bumped into Tang Zhongyi several times in an attempt to attract her attention. However, other than impatience, Tang Zhongyi did not have any other emotions towards this woman. Unfortunately, Yang Huiying saw several times that Tang Zhongyi, who looked at her coldly, carefully held Ning Zhao's hand. The two people's fingers were interlocked as they slowly walked in the garden. Occasionally, Ning Zhao would sit in the transparent piano room and talk about the piano, while Tang Zhongyi quietly looked at her from the side. The tenderness in his eyes could not be melted. In this way, Gu Shengyin did nothing but watch as Yang Huiying's hatred towards him grew higher and higher. Yang Huiying came out of Tang Qian's room. She should have walked in the direction of the door, but for some reason, she turned and walked towards a familiar place. Sure enough, she heard a familiar piano sound. As soon as she walked to the door of the piano room, the sound of the piano stopped abruptly, and then the person playing the piano stood up. She stood aside and watched Ning Zhao come out. It wasn't the first time she saw Ning Zhao, but every time she saw her, she was amazed by this girl's appearance. The warm sunset quietly sprinkled on Ning Zhao's white skirt, coating her with a layer of warm halo. Looking at Ning Zhao like this, Yang Huiying thought of a poem. She walked in the sunlight, with the fragrance of the wind and plants. Whose eyes were stunned. Even she couldn't help but be absent-minded when looking at such a person, let alone a man like Tang Zhongyi. Chapter 215. Yang Huiying dodged to one side. She watched Ning Zhao slowly walk towards her side. Then, the servant of the Tang family behind her seemed to have something to do. He looked around and found that there was no one around. Suddenly, he left in another direction. Only Ning Zhao was left in such a big garden. Of course, there was also Yang Huiying hiding in the dark. Looking at Ning Zhao, who seemed to know nothing, Yang Huiying's heart suddenly flashed with a vicious idea. She knew that autistic people couldn't be stimulated, otherwise, it was very likely to have serious consequences. This was probably the reason why the Tang family hadn't told Ning Zhao about her parents until now. Now there was no one around. If she told her that her parents had died, what would happen to this girl? Yang Huiying's heart flashed with this idea, as if it had taken root and couldn't be pulled out. On the one hand, she despised herself, but more importantly, she was secretly excited. She wanted to destroy this girl. In this way, Tang Zhongyi would look at others, right? Just as Yang Huiying's thoughts were turning, the servant of the Tang family who had just left had come back. She hid in the dark and watched them slowly walk away and disappear at the end of the road. She had to think about this matter carefully. She couldn't put herself in it. Gu Shengyin was sitting alone in the room when Tang Zhongyi pushed the door in. "Zhao Zhao," he shouted. Gu Shengyin slowly turned her head to look at him. Tang Zhongyi was very happy. His Zhao Zhao had now slowly accepted his existence. When he called her, she would turn her head and sometimes even smile at him. This was a unique honor in the Tang family. Zhao Zhao could only occasionally get a look from the 5-year-old Tang Qian to others. He took out a big thing from behind him. Gu Shengyin was surprised to find that the clothes worn by the rabbit who was as tall as her, the headband on her head, and even the shoes on her feet were exactly the same as her own. Obviously, Tang Zhongyi had specially asked someone to make it. Tang Zhongyi looked at his girl with her peach blossom eyes wide open. Her eyes were full of rare curiosity. She even reached out and tried to touch it. Sure enough, it was effective. Tang Zhongyi's eyes flashed with a hint of a smile. Her name is Xiao Zhao. She will sleep in the same room as Zhao Zhao in the future. Tang Zhongyi saw that Ning Zhao really liked her and handed her over. Gu Shengyin struggled to hold the doll that was thicker than her, but her eyes were full of joy. Seeing her like this, Tang Zhongyi was also very happy. He had been in contact with the specialist in charge of Ning Zhao. The specialist said that Ning Zhao's condition had been very stable, and now it was continuing to improve. If this continued for a long time, one day, he would be able to return to the level where he could communicate normally. Gu Shengyin was also trying her best to cooperate with the specialist's treatment. She didn't want to be a silent shell for the rest of her life. It was just that she couldn't return to being so conspicuous all of a sudden. Tang Zhongyi's surprise was yet to come. As usual, he gave Ning Zhao a goodnight kiss and was ready to leave. Unexpectedly, his sleeve was gently pulled. He stopped in his tracks and turned around to look at the person on the bed in disbelief. Then, the girl who originally had her eyes closed slowly opened them, straightened up, and imitated him by gently kissing his forehead. Then she looked up at him, her eyes full of smiles. Chapter 216. Tang Zhongyi was almost stunned by this huge surprise. It was like a person painstakingly cultivating a seedling, hoping that one day it would blossom into a flower, but when he woke up, he found that the yard was full of flowers. His burning gaze locked onto Gu Shengyin, and his voice even trembled a little. "Now, Zhao." Gu Shengyin actually wanted to respond to him, but the system kept reminding the host not to be too aggressive with the bad guy setting. So she could only look at him with a smile. Although she didn't say anything, Tang Zhongyi was satisfied. He reached out and held Gu Shengyin's hand, then kissed it. "Have a good rest, good night." Gu Shengyin had a good night's sleep, but Tang Zhongyi was so excited that he almost didn't sleep at all. The next day, the Tang family noticed that Ning Zhao had changed. When people put food in her bowl during meals, she would no longer ignore them. Father and Mother Tang would sometimes call her, and she would respond. Tang Qian was the happiest because Auntie Zhao Zhao smiled at him. Auntie Zhao Zhao looked so beautiful when she smiled, and Tang Qian was intoxicated. Father and Mother Tang were also very happy. Mother Tang thought of her friend who had passed away and her eyes turned red. "Seeing Zhao Zhao like this, I'm relieved. This child is getting better. If Suchi saw this, I don't know how happy she would be." Suchi was Ning Zhao's mother's name. Father Tang thought more. He always felt that his second son treated Ning Zhao differently. "Have you noticed that our Zhongyi seems to be paying too much attention to Zhao Zhao?" When he said this, Mother Tang also reacted. Wasn't that right? Although Tang Zhongyi didn't have much of a nightlife, he usually went home late or didn't go home at all. Ever since Ning Zhao came to the Tang family, he came home on time almost every day. As long as he was free, he would accompany Ning Zhao. She heard from the servants that the second young master didn't let others dry his hair. And Ning Zhao was also very close to him. Thinking of this, Mother Tang didn't feel good. Zhao Zhao isn't even an adult yet. This brat, I'm going to ask him. She had a straightforward personality. As soon as Tang Zhongyi came home, he was notified that his wife was looking for him. "Mom, what's the matter?" He took off his suit jacket. Mrs. Tang looked at her son with pride, then remembered what happened during the day. She didn't keep him in suspense and directly asked, "Zhongyi, let me ask you, what do you think of Zhao Zhao?" After all, they were family members who had lived together for more than 20 years. Tang Zhongyi only needed to think for a moment before he understood what his mother meant. She probably realized that something was wrong. "Mom, I won't hide it either." He stood up and looked directly at his mother. "I like Zhao Zhao. When she's an adult, I'll be her lover. When she's 20, I'll be her husband." "You." Mrs. Tang didn't know what to say to her son's self-righteous attitude. "Zhao Zhao is only 16 years old," Mrs. Tang said after holding back for a while. "Our relationship has been nurtured since we were young. It's just right." Tang Zhongyi said calmly, "Zhao Zhao doesn't know anything. What if she doesn't like you in the future? What if she falls in love with someone else?" Mrs. Tang could hear the certainty in her son's voice, which made her even more worried. Tang Zhongyi's expression did not change. "There is no such possibility. She will only like me and can only like me." Chapter 217. Xiao Qian, what are you doing? As soon as Yang Huiying arrived at Tang Qian's room, she saw him holding a white furry rabbit in his hand. "Xiao Qian, do you like rabbits?" she asked with a smile. Tang Qian shook his head. "I'm a man. I don't like this kind of thing. But Auntie Zhao Zhao likes it." Tang Qian's dark eyes rolled twice. Uncle gave Auntie Zhao Zhao a big white rabbit. Auntie Zhao Zhao likes it very much. I also used my pocket money to buy a little rabbit. After I change it into the same clothes as Auntie Zhao Zhao, I'll give it to her. Yang Huiying's smile faded. Ning Zhao again. Why did everyone like her and want to please her? She said casually, "Didn't you say that your Auntie Zhao Zhao ignored people? If you give it to her, she probably won't know." Tang Qian immediately retorted, "No way. Recently, Auntie Zhao Zhao will smile at me." Yang Huiying was shocked. Wasn't Ning Zhao autistic? How come she was already better? She was a little absent-minded the whole afternoon. When she taught Tang Qian, she even played a few wrong notes. Tang Qian shook his head and imitated the tone of a kindergarten teacher, saying that she wasn't serious. After 5 o'clock, Yang Huiying walked towards Ning Zhao's piano room. She watched Ning Zhao walk over from afar and found that she was still the same as before. Tang Qian's condition was probably just rare. It was very likely that Ning Zhao was recovering. Yang Huiying only felt the sense of crisis in her heart getting heavier and heavier. Ning Zhao's appearance could make Tang Zhongyi focus all his attention on her. If she improved in the future, doesn't that mean I don't even have the slightest bit of chance? The more she thought about it, the more flustered she became. The thoughts that had been in her mind became clearer. In the next few days, Yang Huiying had been secretly observing Ning Zhao's movements. She found that every time Ning Zhao came out to play the piano, someone would follow her. Sometimes, Tang Zhongyi would also accompany her personally. The Tang family's servants never left, so there was definitely no chance outside. Finally, one day, Yang Huiying waited for an opportunity. Gu Shangyin played the piano as usual and returned to her room accompanied by the Tang family's servants. Ordinary people were not allowed to enter her room, so those people only sent her to the door and left. Tang Zhongyi hadn't come back from work today. Yang Huiying stood behind a pillar in the hallway. Ning Zhao's room was far away from the masters of the Tang family. Because she couldn't be disturbed, Ning Zhao was the only one living in this area. Usually, the servants of the Tang family were warned by the owner of the villa not to come here easily. Therefore, it was very quiet here. There was no one here. Yang Huiying hesitated for a while and finally decided to push the door open and go in. Gu Shangyin sensed that someone had entered and turned around. When she saw Yang Huiying, she was a little surprised. Why did she come here? Looking at the girl in front of her who was panicking like a deer, the malice in Yang Huiying's heart grew. Are you Ning Zhao? She slowly approached Ning Zhao who was sitting on the chair. This distance already made Ning Zhao feel unsafe, but she didn't stop. Yang Huiying listened to her own malicious tone. Do you miss your parents? Seeing that the girl was attracted by her words, she sneered. You want to see them, don't you? But let me tell you, you will never see them again. They are dead. Chapter 218. Ning Zhao didn't seem to understand her words and looked at her in a daze. Yang Huiying was afraid that she didn't understand, so she deliberately said, It means that I will never appear in front of you again and disappear. Seeing the girl's face suddenly turn pale, a twisted pleasure rose in her heart. She was afraid that she would be discovered if she stayed any longer, so she quickly left the place. Tang Zhongyi was in a good mood today. He specially went to a famous cake shop in the city to customize a rabbit-shaped cake. Thinking of Zhao Zhao's sparkling eyes when she saw the cake later, he felt comfortable all over. When he got home, dinner hadn't started yet. Ning Zhao should be in the room at this time. He opened the door of Ning Zhao's room. Zhao Zhao, I brought you something good. Before his voice fell, the scene in front of him made his pupils shrink in fright, and the cake fell to the ground with a clang. The room, which had always been clean and spotless, looked like it had been ransacked at this moment, and all kinds of things were broken. However, Tang Zhongyi didn't notice this at all. His girl was standing barefoot in the room at the moment, and in front of her was a broken full-length mirror. Her white jade-like feet were stepping on the fragments. Blood dripped. Tang Zhongyi only felt that the fragments didn't stab Zhao Zhao's feet, but his heart. He quickly walked over. What's wrong, Zhao Zhao? He wanted to pick her up. However, Ning Zhao, who was usually docile and quiet, seemed to be crazy at this moment and rejected his approach. She stepped back step by step and stepped on the broken mirrors. She seemed to feel no pain, but Tang Zhongyi, who witnessed this scene, was furious. He didn't care about her struggles and picked her up. He couldn't let her hurt herself like this anymore. Ning Zhao struggled hard in Tang Zhongyi's arms and screamed in pain. Tang Zhongyi carried Ning Zhao downstairs, and all the people passing by were shocked by Ning Zhao's situation. What's wrong? Mrs. Tang rushed over and saw Ning Zhao's feet. She asked anxiously, "What's wrong with Zhao Zhao?" Tang Zhongyi shook his head. Ning Zhao's situation had always been stable, and he didn't know why it suddenly became like this. At this moment, Ning Zhao, who was in his arms, suddenly started sobbing softly. Her sobs were mixed with intermittent, "Daddy, Mommy." Everyone present heard it clearly, and they all fell silent at the same time. Tang Zhongyi glanced at the people in the room and walked out with Ning Zhao in his arms. "I'll take Zhao Zhao to the hospital first, and then I'll come back to settle this." Who told Zhao Zhao about this? Because Ning Zhao refused to cooperate, Tang Zhongyi could only bring a chauffeur from home and hugged her without letting go. "Zhao Zhao, Zhao Zhao." He kept whispering in her ear and kissing her on the forehead. "I'm here, I'm Tang Zhongyi, I'm here." Ning Zhao ignored him completely. She stopped struggling and just cried by herself, occasionally calling out for her parents. When they arrived at the hospital, they sent Ning Zhao to the ward. Because the patient refused to cooperate, the doctor could only give Ning Zhao a sedative. Tang Zhongyi had been guarding by her side the entire time. He stared at her face that had become obedient because of her deep sleep, but the hostility in his heart grew stronger and stronger. Who was it? He told Zhao Zhao about this matter. Chapter 219. Didn't I tell you that Ning Zhao can't take too much stimulation? Why did you let her be like this? The expert in charge of Ning Zhao's condition was an old man with a white beard. Ever since Ning Zhao was very young, the Ning couple had visited him. It could be said that he watched Ning Zhao grow up. In terms of affection, it was not much worse than his own granddaughter. He received a call from Tang Zhongyi and rushed over as soon as possible. "It's our negligence. Ning Zhao seems to know about the death of her parents and is very emotional," Tang Zhongyi whispered. "Mr. Zhang, what should we do?" Tang Zhongyi asked. Mr. Zhang sighed. "Let's wait and see what happens when Ning Zhao wakes up." Gu Shengyin didn't actually faint. She was communicating with the system. "System, what do you think I should do when I wake up?" Gu Shengyin asked. "There is relevant information in the host's mind. Everything is possible. The host can randomly choose a situation. The system couldn't make up its mind. Fortunately, you can block perception. Otherwise..." Gu Shengyin remembered the feeling of her feet stepping on broken glass. Although she wasn't afraid of pain, no one would like it. After Yang Huiying left with the news of Ning Zhao's parents' death, Gu Shengyin was still struggling for a while about how to behave. Later, she decided to go with the flow. Ning Zhao had to know about the death of her parents. Being autistic didn't mean that she was stupid. Ning Zhao would be suspicious one day if she didn't see her parents for a long time. Since this day would come sooner or later, it was better to follow Yang Huiying's wishes and trap her. Ning Zhao was in a coma for more than 30 hours. When she woke up, it was already the morning of the third day. Tang Zhongyi noticed that the person on the bed moved. He almost held his breath as he looked at her. He watched Zhao Zhao's long and thick eyelashes flutter twice. Then she opened her eyes, revealing a pair of dark and clear eyes. Unexpectedly, it was quiet. Tang Zhongyi breathed a sigh of relief. He was afraid that when Ning Zhao woke up, she would still be as crazy as before. He was really scared. But soon, he realized that something was wrong. Ning Zhao, who had woken up, was just staring blankly at the ceiling above his head. There was no other reaction at all. Suddenly, a wave of panic surged in his heart. He forced a smile and called out, "Zhao Zhao, Zhao Zhao?" However, the person on the bed didn't even look at her. It was clearly a warm and pleasant day, but Tang Zhongyi felt as if he had fallen into an ice cave. His entire body was cold from the inside out. He called old Mr. Zhang over with a trembling voice. When Mr. Zhang heard about Ning Zhao's situation, his face turned a little gloomy. After he came to see the situation in person, he sighed secretly. "What do you think?" Tang Zhongyi looked at Mr. Zhang expectantly. Old Mr. Zhang shook his head. "Zhao Zhao has been too stimulated. She has subconsciously rejected everyone. She has closed her heart. Tang Zhongyi only felt that it was so difficult to speak. Then, in this situation, is there any way? Old Mr. Zhang pondered for a long time. In general, in such a situation, there are very few things that experts like us can help. It's best to have someone she trusts to communicate with her every day and guide her patiently until one day, she is willing to open her heart. Chapter 220. Tang Zhongyi was silent as he sent away Mr. Zhang, who shook his head and sighed. He carried Ning Zhao, who was like a puppet, out of the hospital. Back home, the Tang family was waiting for news. They all had their own things to do, so it was impossible for them to stay overnight like Tang Zhongyi. Mrs. Tang was the first to greet him. "How is Zhao Zhao?" She looked at Ning Zhao quietly staying in Tang Zhongyi's arms and breathed a sigh of relief. But looking at her son's expression, it didn't look like he was fine. Tang Zhongyi didn't speak, but the Tang family quickly noticed Ning Zhao's strangeness. She didn't react to the outside world at all. This was different from when she first arrived. At that time, Ning Zhao didn't speak and didn't pay much attention to others. But she had her own routine and knew what to do on time every day. When she saw something she liked, such as a piano or flowers and plants, she would be happy. But now, Ning Zhao even needed Tang Zhongyi to personally bring a spoon to her mouth for her to eat. Only then would she know to open her mouth and eat. This. Mrs. Tang turned around and started to cry secretly. The eldest son of the Tang family, Tang Zhongqing, said in a deep voice, "I've already asked all the servants in the house. They didn't mention anything about her parents in front of Zhao Zhao." Tang Zhongyi said coldly, "Then how did Zhao Zhao know? Could it be that Uncle Ning and the others came in a dream?" Tang Zhongqing was also puzzled. He had someone check the whereabouts of everyone from 5 to 7 in the afternoon 2 days ago and found that everyone had a record. No one went to Ning Zhao's room. "I'll take Zhao Zhao back to her room first." Seeing that Ning Zhao was almost done eating, Tang Zhongyi got up and took Ning Zhao's hand. "Hey, Zhao Zhao, I'll ask Mrs. Lin to help you wash up later." Mrs. Tang thought of something and said, "No need, I'll do it." Tang Zhongyi said in a deep voice, "This." Mrs. Tang. Mr. Tang frowned. "Ridiculous, Tang Zhongyi, do you know what you're saying?" Tang Zhongyi looked at Ning Zhao gently. "I can't trust Zhao Zhao with anyone anymore." The members of the Tang family watched in shock as Tang Zhongyi led Ning Zhao away. Tang Zhongyi he. Tang Zhongqing was dumbfounded. Mother Tang, on the other hand, suddenly felt relieved. "Forget it, let him be. That brat told me a long time ago that he only recognizes Zhao Zhao in this lifetime." "He said something like that to you?" Father Tang glared at her. "You didn't even tell me." However, after thinking about it, he felt that this was also fine. With Zhao Zhao's appearance, if she were to marry into another family in the future, they wouldn't feel at ease. Their own two sons, in terms of character, could still be at ease. A family like the Tang family didn't need a daughter-in-law of high status to keep up appearances. Since Zhong Yi was willing, then let him be. Tang Zhongyi brought Gu Shengyin to the room and let her sit on the bed alone. "Wait for me, I'll run the bath for you." He didn't make a move just because Gu Shengyin didn't react. Every time he did something, he would inform Gu Shengyin, as if the two of them were having a normal conversation. He prepared the hot water and dripped the essential oil. Then, he pulled Gu Shengyin into the bathroom and prepared to take off her clothes. From the looks of it, he was going to give her a bath directly. Gu Shengyin, who appeared to be in a daze but was already cursing like crazy on the inside, was speechless. Although they had been husband and wife for a long time, it was still shameful for her to personally help him bathe. Chapter 221. Fortunately, it was impossible for Tang Zhongyi to have any thoughts about a patient, and Gu Shengyin's acting skills had reached the point of perfection. The two of them finished everything in silence. "Good night, Zhao Zhao." Tang Zhongyi gently kissed Ning Zhao's forehead. Looking at Ning Zhao's motionless appearance, he only felt a sting in his heart. His Zhao Zhao would no longer look at him with a smile, pull his sleeve and give him a good night kiss. Tang Zhongyi lay beside Ning Zhao and saw that Ning Zhao had no reaction to him lying in bed. Seeing her close her eyes, Tang Zhongyi turned off the light and opened his eyes in the darkness for a long time. Contrary to him, there were familiar people and familiar breaths around her. Gu Shengyin soon fell asleep. In the following days, Tang Zhongyi put aside the company's affairs and accompanied Gu Shengyin wholeheartedly. Every day, he took care of everything for her, pushed her in a wheelchair for a walk, and even took her to the piano room. "Zhao Zhao, don't you like to play the piano? Play a song for me, okay?" He coaxed her softly. Gu Shengyin sat in front of the piano. She looked at the familiar things in front of her, and her eyes seemed to turn slightly. Tang Zhongyi was ecstatic. He didn't dare to disturb her. He could only hope that the piano could make her come out. Gu Shengyin reached out and placed his hand on the piano keys. However, she only played a few notes messily before she stopped moving. Tang Zhongyi was very disappointed, but there was only a gentle smile on his face. He wanted Ning Zhao to try again, but found that Ning Zhao seemed to be a little resistant, so he could only give up for the time being. On the way back, the two met Yang Huiying. Yang Huiying had done such a thing, so she hadn't dared to ask about Ning Zhao's recent situation these days. But she clearly felt that the atmosphere in the Tang family was very dull these days. She guessed that something must have happened to Ning Zhao. She didn't dare to face Ning Zhao, so she walked around the piano room every day. Unexpectedly, Tang Zhongyi pushed Ning Zhao around the entire Tang family's mansion today. Seeing Ning Zhao sitting in a wheelchair and seemingly unaffected, she was still surprised. Tang Zhongyi didn't like this woman from the bottom of his heart. He originally planned to pretend that he didn't see her and directly leave with Zhao Zhao. But unexpectedly, Ning Zhao, who had been quiet as if she didn't exist, suddenly became agitated the moment she saw Yang Huiying. She glared angrily at Yang Huiying, and her mouth kept calling out for her parents. Yang Huiying only felt that the other party's eyes were filled with deep-rooted hatred, nailing her to the ground and making her unable to move. Tang Zhongyi was shocked by this scene. It wasn't until Ning Zhao seemed to want to stand up by herself that he realized that her foot was still injured. He bent down to comfort the agitated Ning Zhao and shot a sharp gaze at Yang Huiying. Yang Huiying felt a chill run down her spine, but Tang Zhongyi didn't say anything. Instead, he covered Ning Zhao's eyes and brought her back to the room. Yang Huiying heaved a sigh of relief. She had thought that Tang Zhongyi was going to do something to her. However, she had underestimated the situation. The next day, when she came to Tang Qian's room, there was only one person in the room. Mr. Tang. She looked at the man she missed. She was a little happy, but there was also some uneasiness in her heart. Tang Zhongyi turned around and looked at her expressionlessly. "Miss Yang, can you explain what you did to Zhao Zhao 4 days ago in the afternoon?" Chapter 222. Yang Huiying was a little flustered. "No one knows what you've done," she comforted herself. She looked at Tang Zhongyi in confusion. "What 4 days ago? What happened?" Tang Zhongyi hated her face. "Not many people know about Zhao Zhao's parents. We checked one by one, and you're the only one." He stared at Yang Huiying. "Xiao Qian told me that he told you about it, and you had an agreement that no one was allowed to say anything about it." Yang Huiying forced herself to calm down. "I know something about Miss Ning Zhao, but Mr. Tang, didn't you not let me get close to Miss Ning? Everyone in the Tang villa knows that I, Yang Huiying, have to take a detour when I see Miss Ning." Tang Zhongyi looked at her. "Then how do you explain Zhao Zhao's reaction when she saw you?" Yang Huiying defended herself. "How would I know? You have to ask Miss Ning about this. Maybe I had an unpleasant encounter with her before, so she instinctively didn't like me." Tang Zhongyi looked at her silently for a while. "Since Zhao Zhao doesn't like you, you don't have to come to the Tang family in the future. It's best not to let me know that you really have something to do with this matter." Yang Huiying was not convinced. "Why? You fired me for no reason. Tang Zhongyi had already slammed the door and left. The Tang family's housekeeper handed an envelope to Yang Huiying. "I'm sorry, Miss Yang, the Tang family has been busy recently, and the young master's upbringing." Yang Huiying snatched the envelope from the housekeeper's hand. "Don't make excuses. Isn't it just not coming? This girl doesn't care." Tang Zhongyi stood in front of the window and watched Yang Huiying's figure disappear from the Tang family. His eyes were deep. "Do you think that if you don't admit it, I can't do anything?" Yang Huiying's recent days were quite difficult. Although her talent in the music academy was not top-notch, it was still above average. However, there were various activities in the academy recently, and the tutors seemed to have completely ignored her and didn't take her out at all. For students like her, the most important thing during school was to be taken out by their tutors to see the world. At the same time, it was an opportunity to show themselves. If a large orchestra took a fancy to them, it was also a good way out. Especially for people like Yang Huiying, who had an ordinary family background and could only rely on herself. If the tutors didn't take her out, it could be imagined that she wouldn't have any chance to stand out until graduation. She lost her cool and went to look for her tutor. The reply he received was very perfunctory. "I think your foundation is still not very solid. If you have the time to think about this, why don't you spend more time strengthening your foundation?" Yang Huiying wanted to curse. Foundation. His foundation was not solid. If his foundation wasn't solid, how could he have been admitted to this nationally renowned music academy? However, she didn't dare to do so. To these students, the teachers were existences that held the power of life and death in their hands. No matter how disgusted he was, he still had to put on a smile on his face. Coldly watching Yang Huiying walk out, her teacher shook his head. Who knew how this female student had offended the Tang family? He couldn't protect her. "Zhao Zhao, isn't it beautiful here?" Tang Zhongyi and Ning Zhao were lying on a beach. The expert said that it was best to take Ning Zhao out for a walk more often. In the past 6 months, Tang Zhongyi had taken her to travel around. Of course, he chose places with beautiful environments and few people. For example, right now, the two of them were on a private beach belonging to the Tang family. Chapter 223. Tang Zhongyi's efforts were not in vain. At least for half a year, Ning Zhao was no longer completely ignoring people. When he opened his mouth to ask a question, Ning Zhao would look at him, then lower her head and remain silent. Although he didn't get a response, Tang Zhongyi was very satisfied. Compared to before, it was a lot better, wasn't it? Gu Shengyin was also waiting. She could only let Ning Zhao recover slowly. The slower Ning Zhao recovered, the deeper Tang Zhongyi's dislike for Yang Huiying, and Yang Huiying's life would be more difficult. It's just that this man was wronged. Gu Shengyin sighed in her heart. Then speed up the progress a little. Ning Zhao's situation improved by leaps and bounds after the end of the trip. She seemed to have returned to the way she was when she first came to the Tang family. She could take care of herself, dress up her little rabbit, and pick out her favorite clothes from a pile of clothes in the wardrobe. On the first day they returned to the Tang family, Ning Zhao smiled at the Tang family who welcomed them back. Tang Zhongyi's hands were trembling slightly. The next day, Ning Zhao even took the initiative to ask to go to the piano room to practice. When the melodious music sounded again, Tang Zhongyi felt that he seemed to hear the sound of flowers blooming in the depths of his heart. Everything was getting better. Ning Zhao could live independently, but because of the previous lesson, Tang Zhongyi didn't dare to let her sleep alone in the room, so as before, the two still slept in the same bedroom. In the past 6 months, the Tang family had also fully seen Tang Zhongyi's deep affection for Ning Zhao. They had nothing to say about it. They could only wish the two of them that there would be no more twists and turns in the future. "Good night, Zhao Zhao." Tang Zhongyi routinely kissed Ning Zhao's forehead. Ning Zhao's closed eyes suddenly opened. She raised her body and kissed Tang Zhongyi's forehead gently. "Good night." Her voice was very small, so small that it almost made people think it was an illusion. But Tang Zhongyi still heard it, and for a moment, he almost had an impulse to cry. "Zhao Zhao, you just said, 'Good night' to me?" He was afraid that he was dreaming. But the little girl seemed to be shy. She turned around, facing him, closed her eyes, and went to sleep. Tang Zhongyi was left standing there, laughing foolishly for a while. In the end, he raised his hand and gently hugged the person in front of him. The person in his arms moved, but did not break free. Tang Zhongyi hugged his baby in his arms as if he was hugging the whole world. The figures of the two fit together firmly, as if they were born to be together like this. Tang Zhongyi had never been so satisfied. The next day, Gu Shengyin woke up in the arms of her lover. As soon as she opened her eyes, Tang Zhongyi, who had been looking at her, made a sound. "Good morning, Zhao Zhao." He saw that his little girl's eyes were still a little dazed. Her long, curly eyelashes fluttered a few times before she finally opened them completely, revealing a pair of dark, clear eyes looking at him. "Good morning," Gu Shengyin replied out of habit. Then, he suddenly realized something. Oh no! This was Ning Zhao's body. Tang Zhongyi only felt that today was extraordinarily beautiful. This was the happiest morning greeting he had ever received in his life. Gu Shengyin thought for a moment. Fortunately, there was the previous situation as a foreshadowing, and her situation was not too abrupt. The two people finished washing and came to the table. Since they had recovered a lot, Gu Shengyin was not stingy to give them another surprise. So, the masters of the Tang family looked at the girl in the white dress with a smile and said, "Good morning" to them. Chapter 224. Mrs. Tang almost dropped her chopsticks. "Zhao Zhao." She was surprised and happy. She looked at her son standing next to Gu Shengyin. At the moment, he was focused on Ning Zhao. That was great. She raised her hand and gently wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes. Her son finally saw the light at the end of the tunnel. The Tang family was happy and harmonious, but Yang Huiying's life had been difficult. She was going to graduate next year. She watched her classmates go to concerts one by one. Many of them who were not as good as her started to sign contracts with bands, but she had no place at all. She couldn't get through to the mentors, so she started to recommend herself. But she didn't like low-level bands, and they didn't like her either. Yang Huiying was so worried that her hair turned white. Also, after graduation next year, every graduate had to submit their own work. The school would choose the best work to be performed at the graduation ceremony. Yang Huiying's music school was one of the best in Z country. Many international musicians and bands would be invited to the graduation ceremony. Students who could get on the stage of the graduation ceremony often had a bright future. But for herself, Yang Huiying looked at the white paper under her hand. She grabbed it into a ball and threw it into the waste paper basket beside her. She had to start preparing for her graduation work now, but she was so distracted now. How could she make any good work? "Huiying, I'm going to be an intern at Shihai Band. Have you found a place?" It was Xiao Lin, her roommate. Xiao Lin and Yang Huiying had always been on bad terms. This time, she was obviously mocking her. Yang Huiying was the only one of the 4 people in the dorm who was still running around. Yang Huiying put on a fake smile and said, "No, a few small bands came to me, but I rejected them. I'm not in a hurry." It was obvious that she couldn't find a good band, but she still put on such airs. Xiao Lin sneered. She finished the last stroke of her eyebrow, picked up her bag and went out. Yang Huiying was left alone in the dorm. She grabbed her hair in annoyance and buried her head deep in her arms. In the end, she still found a small band that wasn't famous. She had no choice. She couldn't always stay in the academy. This way, she could be closer to the audience and gain more knowledge. She comforted herself. The small band didn't have any rules and didn't have any fixed performances. Often, they wouldn't have a chance to perform for a few days or even half a month. Sometimes, when business was good, they wouldn't rest for a few days. Yang Huiying was about to go crazy. She was tired to death every day. When she returned home at night, how could she still have the mood to compose? However, it was rare for a student from a famous school to appear in the orchestra. The conductor was very proud of her and would let her perform every time. Yang Huiying felt like a monkey in a circus. She regretted her blindness more than once. If she had known this would happen, she wouldn't have joined such a small band, even if she had to work in a big band. However, the contract had already been signed. No matter how much she disliked it, she had to endure it. Every day, the sound of the piano coming out of the Tang family's mansion became lighter and lighter. Ning Zhao's condition was also recovering at an extremely fast speed. She was now able to communicate with people normally, but she still knew how to read people. Moreover, she became Tang Qian's newest piano teacher. Although most of the time, she was the one playing the piano while Tang Qian blinked and listened. When Mr. Zhang came to the Tang family and saw Gu Shengyin, he was surprised and said that it was a miracle. Chapter 225. Auntie Zhao Zhao, this is for you. Tang Qian was holding a bunch of lilies that he had just picked from the garden. Gu Shengyin bent down to take it and smiled at Tang Qian. She still didn't like to talk and wouldn't talk to strangers. But she was already very close to the Tang family and would even act coquettishly sometimes. Tang Qian's mother once returned home from a trip and Gu Shengyin even went up to her and gave her a hug. Tang Qian's mother heard the girl's soft voice call her mother. She agreed with tears in her eyes. She was very happy to be Ning Zhao's mother. In the afternoon, it was time for Ning Zhao to practice the piano. Tang Qian sat by the side and listened to Auntie Zhao Zhao play the piano. He didn't really understand complicated things. He only thought that Auntie Zhao Zhao played the piano very well and looked very good when she played. Little Tang Qian always remembered what his little uncle said to him. Little Qian, when uncle isn't around, you have to spend more time with Auntie Zhao Zhao. She likes you the most. Auntie Zhao Zhao liked him the most. Tang Qian blushed at the thought. Auntie Zhao Zhao was prettier than the prettiest teacher in the kindergarten. He saw that Auntie Zhao Zhao often lowered her head and wrote something on a piece of paper. Tang Qian curiously walked over and found that it was full of dense notes that he couldn't understand at all. Auntie Zhao Zhao, what are you writing? Gu Shengyin's face showed a slightly shy smile. She blinked at Tang Qian and shook her head without saying anything. This was a song that Ning Zhao made in the original plot. Gu Shengyin slightly modified it. This song would be Gu Shengyin's surprise for her lover and also a choice for Yang Huiying. She would give Yang Huiying a chance. Her choice would also determine her future. The peaceful and beautiful days passed quickly. When Tang Qian was finally 6 years old and could enter primary school, Ning Zhao was also about to become an adult. And Yang Huiying was about to graduate. However, her graduation design was still not settled. Yang Huiying was alone in the small rented house outside. She was so worried that her hair was about to fall off. The boring performances of the small band day after day killed her inspiration. In her current state, if she submitted a design, it would be a problem for her to graduate successfully. How could she accept this? She was so hungry that she grabbed her purse in frustration and walked towards the mall. Tang Zhongyi brought Ning Zhao and Tang Qian out of the door. The current Ning Zhao was no different from an ordinary person just by looking at her appearance. She gradually stopped rejecting crowded places. Tang Zhongyi was ecstatic and would intentionally take her out. Today, she went out to buy something for Tang Qian. He was about to start school, and Tang Zhongqing's company was very busy. Tang Zhongyi happened to be off today, so he took him and Gu Shengyin out. I want Transformers, I want Spider-Man. Tang Qian walked as he calculated what he wanted to buy. He didn't forget to hold Gu Shengyin tightly with one hand, because his uncle had seriously told him that he was a man. Auntie Zhao Zhao was a little shy, so he had to protect her. Tang Zhongyi could not help but laugh. Little Qian, you're going to school, not opening a toy store. Tang Qian stuck out his tongue. At this moment, Gu Shengyin's heart skipped a beat. The system notified him that Yang Huiying was nearby. Chapter 226. Yang Huiying came to the mall to buy some necessities. She never thought that she would meet an acquaintance here. Tang Zhongyi, the man who had left a mark in her heart for the first time. In the past year, she had been forcing herself not to think about him. She didn't expect to meet him in such a place. There was a girl standing beside her. Gu Xingyin's back was facing her, so Yang Huiying didn't recognize her. She subconsciously thought that Ning Zhao couldn't be here. However, when Tang Qian excitedly pulled Gu Xingyin to say something and she turned around to smile, Yang Huiying saw her clearly. How could it be? Wasn't Ning Zhao autistic? Didn't she not want to be stimulated and couldn't see strangers? Didn't her condition worsen after she told her about her parents' death? Then who was this girl who was smiling so freely in the middle of the bustling crowd? Yang Huiying only felt indignant. She had paid the price of staying away from the Tang family, but Ning Zhao didn't seem to be affected at all. How unfair was this? She felt like a shameless voyeur. She silently followed behind them and watched them enter the luxury stores that she didn't even dare to think about. She watched the three of them being intimate. Knowing that Tang Qian was complaining that he was hungry, they entered a dessert shop. Yang Huiying followed them in and sat next to them. There were 2 large pots of plants in front of the 2 tables. "Hello, what would you like to order?" The waiter looked at her with a smile. Yang Huiying glanced at them and pointed at one. She didn't know why she wanted to follow them, but there was always an indignant feeling in her heart. It made her look like she was torturing herself to look at the girl she had always been jealous of smiling happily. Gu Xingyin obviously knew that Yang Huiying was sitting behind her. It just so happened that this gave her a chance. She reached out to take out her phone from the small white rabbit bag she carried with her. No one noticed that a white piece of paper floated out and landed under Yang Huiying's table behind her. "Don't play with your phone when you're eating." Tang Zhongyi looked at her helplessly and dotingly. Gu Shengyin stuck her tongue out at her and opened the game without hesitation. Anyway, this man was just saying. He couldn't bear to take away her phone and make her unhappy. Only Yang Huiying saw the paper. She glanced at it. It was densely packed. It seemed to be a music score. She calmly picked up the piece of paper and put it into her handbag. Her heart was beating a little fast. "Miss, your coffee." The waiter's voice pulled her back from her thoughts. She absent-mindedly stirred the coffee in the cup until Tang Zhongyi and the other 2 finished eating and left. The coffee in the cup was already cold. She couldn't recall the past. Instead, she hurriedly returned to the small house she lived in. She even forgot the purpose of buying things. After locking the door, she carefully took out the piece of paper and read it slowly. The more she looked, the faster her heart beat. She was very sure that this music score wasn't a well-known piece. Moreover, the entire piece was handwritten and there were many traces of modification. There was no doubt that the composer was talented. Yang Huiying had seen Ning Zhao's talent in piano before, and it had fallen out of Ning Zhao's bag. This music score was most likely Ning Zhao's own work. Chapter 227. Yang Huiying walked absent-mindedly. Her contract with the orchestra ended today, and this could be considered her last performance. The location was a bar, and it wasn't too messy inside. After all, a bar that could afford to hire an orchestra was considered a bit high class. It was just that the people inside were all sorts of freaks and monsters. Yang Huiying didn't think that she would be fancied by a drunkard. "This girl looks pretty good." The fatty with the oily face looked at Yang Huiying drunkenly and chuckled. He then shouted at the person in charge of the orchestra, "How much for her to accompany me?" The manager of the orchestra had a difficult expression. Some members of their orchestra would occasionally have such services, but Yang Huiying was different. She wasn't an official member of the orchestra, and she was a student of a famous music academy. He said with a smile, "Sir, Miss Yang isn't a member of our orchestra. She's a student of Chingsong Academy. You should know Chingsong Academy." The fatty ignored his words and looked at Yang Huiying with wide eyes. He sneered, "Chingsong Academy? Her? Do you think I'm an idiot? What kind of people are the students of Chingsong Academy? Why would they come to your lousy orchestra to be a piano player? Let me tell you. Yang Huiying only felt that all the customers in the bar were looking at her. This feeling made her feel very ashamed. If she could get everyone's recognition at the graduation ceremony, she wouldn't be like today, bullied by these vulgar people who only had a few bucks, and pointed at as if they were watching a show. Her wavering heart finally made a decision. In the end, under the manager's apologetic smile, the fatty cursed and found another female musician. Yang Huiying didn't think that there would be such a dirty deal. She resisted the feeling of disgust and hurriedly finished playing the song and went home. She took out the white paper from the bottom of the drawer. Sorry Ning Zhao. Anyway, you're living a life of luxury in the Tang family. This kind of work is just icing on the cake for you. Moreover, if you can create a work like this, you can naturally create a second one. And right now, I urgently need it to save my life. This is your work. Yang Huiying's teacher looked at her in disbelief. Yang Huiying nodded. It took me nearly a year to write it out. Teacher, is there a problem with this? Her tutor read the score over and over again excitedly. After a while, she said to Yang Huiying, No, you're a genius. I haven't seen such an exciting work in years. I will recommend you to perform on stage at the graduation ceremony at the end of the month. He had already made up his mind. With such a talented student, even if Tang Kor wasn't happy with her, he couldn't let her go unnoticed. Yang Huiying walked out of the tutor's office with excitement in her heart. She knew that she was halfway to success. Soon, it was the end of the month. On that day, Yang Huiying put on the clothes she had meticulously prepared, put on the most exquisite makeup, and stood on the stage of Pine Forest Academy. In front of her were countless internationally renowned musicians and first-class orchestras. Next, I'll be playing my piece, Sunshine. She bowed elegantly and slowly placed her fingers on the piano keys. Chapter 228. Clap, clap, clap. Yang Huiying's lips curled into a smile as thunderous applause sounded. She knew that she had succeeded. Sure enough, not long after she stepped off the stage, someone came to find her. Hello, Miss Yang. I'm the assistant conductor of the Lemon Tree Orchestra. May I take the liberty to ask if the song just now was composed by you? The man was dressed in a suit and leather shoes and had a kind smile on his face. Yang Huiying nodded her head reservedly. I used to be an intern in a small band. During this 1 year, I experienced all kinds of ups and downs. This song, Sunshine, was written based on my experiences during this year. The man frowned slightly, but still nodded. After experiencing countless setbacks, you still didn't give up. Finally, you found your own sunshine. Miss Yang's song has a good meaning. Yang Huiying maintained her smile. The two chatted casually for a while, and the man gave Yang Huiying a business card before leaving. After the man left, Yang Huiying could not help but reveal a happy expression. The Lemon Tree Orchestra was one of the largest orchestras in the country. The chief conductor was an internationally renowned musician, and the rest of the members were also slightly famous musicians. A band like this wouldn't easily take the initiative to talk to people. Since the other party came to find her, it meant that they had the intention to invite her. She returned to the dormitory in a good mood. Everyone in the dormitory knew that she had stepped onto the big stage of the graduation ceremony and congratulated her. Even Xiao Lin smiled and congratulated her as if the previous grudge between them didn't exist. Congratulations, Huiying. Maybe our dormitory will have a great musician in the future. Yang Huiying glanced at her and said indifferently, I can't compare to you. You signed a contract with the West Sea Orchestra before you graduated. Xiao Lin's smile froze. She knew that Yang Huiying still minded her previous words, so she smiled and left. Yang Huiying sneered. When she was down, she hit her when she was down. Now that she saw that she had made a comeback, she wanted to get close to her. Did she really think that she was easy to bully? The person who contacted Yang Huiying earlier also returned to the orchestra. Elder Feng. He respectfully called out to a thin old man. How is it? The old man called Elder Feng asked. The man said, Miss Yang claimed that the song Sunshine was composed by her own hands. She wrote it based on her experience as an intern in a small band a year ago. Elder Feng frowned and said, the first half of the song is full of depression and despair. What happened to her in the band? That's why you don't even have the desire to live? Works were the best way to express one's emotions. A master like Elder Feng could naturally tell what the song was trying to express at a glance. Yang Huiying did not know that people were still discussing her work. In fact, Gu Shengyin did not have time to sign her name. Sunshine was just a name that Yang Huiying came up with based on her own understanding of the song. But she did become popular because of this work. The entire Academy of Music knew that there was a genius in the piano department. At the graduation ceremony, he had created works that were praised by world-class masters. Yang Huiying had received countless invitations, but she had not replied. She was waiting for news from the Lemon Tree Band. Yang Huiying was confident that she, who had created a masterpiece like Sunshine, would not be missed by any band with a good eye. Chapter 229. Gu Shengyin was well aware of these matters. But she was Ning Zhao now, a Ning Zhao who didn't care about the outside world, so she knew nothing about what Yang Huiying was doing. She prepared a big present for Yang Huiying. Ning Zhao's 18th birthday came quickly. The Tang family treated Ning Zhao like their own daughter. 2 years ago, they didn't dare let her see strangers because of her relapse. Now that Ning Zhao was a lot better, Mother Tang decided to hold a big birthday party for her and announce Ning Zhao's existence to the outside world. With the Tang family's influence, they invited 2/3 of the famous people in the capital. Because Ning Zhao loved music, Mother Tang specially spent a lot of money to invite a famous local band to perform. Coincidentally, this band was the Lemon Tree Orchestra. Elder Feng, it's just a junior's birthday party. You don't have to go personally, right? His assistant whispered. Elder Feng shook his head. If I don't go personally, that old man Tang Qingshan will come to my house tomorrow. Tang Qingshan was Father Tang. Elder Feng knew his old friend's temper very well. Father Tang and Mother Tang stood on either side of Ning Zhao and introduced her to the guests. Their behavior made everyone understand that this girl's status in the Tang family wasn't low. Some observant people noticed that although Ning Zhao maintained a smile the whole time, she didn't say much. They even secretly sighed that this girl seemed to be too introverted. When the party was about to start, Gu Shengyin suddenly walked over to the chief pianist of the Lemon Tree Orchestra. Tang Zhongyi naturally followed her. Gu Shengyin glanced at Tang Zhongyi and he immediately understood what she meant. Can I borrow your piano for a while? Tang Zhongyi didn't understand why Zhao Zhao suddenly wanted a piano, but he still asked politely. The chief pianist of the Lemon Tree Orchestra didn't look too good. To be the chief pianist of the Lemon Tree Orchestra, he was a famous figure in the music industry. This was his personal piano. He had spent a lot of money to hire a famous master to make it, and he didn't let anyone touch it easily. Just as he was about to refuse, Elder Feng looked over and said, Lingji, do me a favor. Today is this young lady's birthday. Let her touch your baby. He had heard his old friend mention Ning Zhao before and knew that she was Tang Zhongyi's future wife. Of course, he couldn't let her down. Since Elder Feng had spoken, the chief couldn't refuse. He stood up and walked to the side. He secretly swore in his heart, if this little girl's level is too low, no matter what, I will not let her continue to humiliate my beloved Zither. It was as if Gu Shengyin couldn't see the expression on the first seat's face. She calmly sat down, then looked at Tang Zhongyi and smiled. This is a song for you. She winked at him. Tang Zhongyi looked at her gently. Their actions had attracted the attention of many guests. Hearing that Ning Zhao had composed a song for the Tang family's second young master, they looked at the two of them, and then looked at Tang Qingshan and his wife, who were not surprised at all. Many people began to question Ning Zhao's status in their hearts. The moment Ning Zhao's hand touched the piano keys, her entire temperament changed. Her expression was both sad and happy. Her slender and fair fingers danced on the piano keys, and strings of notes poured out from her fingertips. The expressions of the chief and elder Feng changed. Chapter 230. Elder Feng's gaze was fixed on Gu Shengyin. The piano piece that this girl was playing was clearly the sunshine that he was very optimistic about. But she had clearly said, "This is a piece for you." In other words, this piece was her own original composition. Elder Feng and the chief pianist sitting at the side looked at each other and saw the surprise in each other's eyes. It wasn't just the two of them. Everyone in the Lemon Tree Orchestra, as well as many music lovers among the guests present, had heard Yang Huiying's Sunshine. Now, comparing the two of them, the gap was too big. When Yang Huiying played this piece, although everyone was shocked, they felt that something was missing. Now that they heard Gu Shengyin's version, they realized that she didn't play the soul of this piece. The entire hall fell silent. Everyone was infected by Gu Shengyin's piano music. They seemed to see a girl in a bottomless darkness. There was no hope, no future, and no trace of light. She thought of seeking death. This might be freedom. She wouldn't have to struggle in this muddle-headed world. Tang Zhongyi clenched his fists tightly. He understood Zhao Zhao's song. He had never thought that Zhao Zhao would break down like that when she learned of her parents' death. She even thought of ending it with death. He only felt cold sweat on his back. Fortunately, God was not unkind to him. Fortunately, he had put down everything to be by her side at that time. Otherwise, he didn't know what would have happened. After reaching the extreme of despair, the style of the entire song suddenly changed. A person appeared by the girl's side. He patiently accompanied her, took her to watch the sunrise and sunset, accompanied her every minute of life, and took her to see all the beautiful things in the world. Little by little, he brought light into her world and pulled her out of the bottomless darkness. He was her salvation. When the song ended, Gu Shengyin was already in tears. Tang Zhongyi couldn't hold it in anymore. He rushed over and hugged her tightly. "How could you, how could you?" His voice was choked with sobs. He buried his head deep into Gu Shengyin's neck, covering his red eyes. The eyes of the Tang family members also turned red. They had watched Ning Zhao walk step by step, so they could naturally feel the deepest emotions in her works. Clap, clap. At first, there were scattered applause, but later, all the guests stood up and applauded them. Elder Feng also stood up. He looked at Gu Shengyin strangely, as if he had discovered a rare treasure. The chief disciple's expression was not much better than his. At this moment, he had completely forgotten his previous unwillingness and began to think of a way to make Gu Shengyin acknowledge him as her disciple. As for Yang Huiying, she had already been ignored by them. They were all musicians, so it was clear to them who was real and who was fake, and who was the real composer. Without real experience, who could play a song like Gu Shengyin to this realm? Tang Zhongyi coughed, sorted out his emotions, and gently held Gu Shengyin's hand. Gu Shengyin stood up with her strength. "Thank you for the piano," Tang Zhongyi said to the chief disciple of the Lemon Tree Orchestra. The chief disciple was very kind at this moment. "It's okay, you're welcome. If Miss Ning Zhao needs anything else, you can continue to look for me." Chapter 231. Yang Huiying had been waiting for Lemon Tree Orchestra's reply. During this period, her tutor often took her out. Compared to before, this treatment was like heaven and hell. She was applying a mask on her bed when she suddenly received a call from her tutor. "Hello." "What?" "I'll be right there." She hurriedly tore off her mask, tidied up, and left. "The principal pianist of Lemon Tree Orchestra told me that he heard your Sunshine at another place yesterday. Also, the other party said that this song was her original work. He now doubts the authenticity of what you said earlier." Yang Huiying's expression changed. Could it be that they met Ning Zhao? She couldn't admit to this. She pretended to be angry and said, "The other party must be lying about this. Sunshine is my original work." I have the manuscript here to prove it. Her tutor saw that she was firm and felt relieved. No matter what, he didn't want his student to be someone who plagiarized other people's works. I'll explain this to Lemon Tree Orchestra. Don't worry, the truth will come out. Yang Huiying forced a smile and looked a little dazed. Her tutor saw her like this and thought that she was affected by this matter. He comforted her and left. Yang Huiying returned to her residence. The more she thought about it, the more flustered she felt. No, she had to do something. She couldn't let Ning Zhao have a chance to explain. This song could only be hers. At this moment, someone posted a video on a large music forum that she frequented. Yesterday, I went to a banquet and happened to hear a song. The OP was shocked. With the mentality that it's better to share it with others than to share it alone, I'm sharing it with the netizens. Yang Huiying clicked on it and saw that it was a video of Ning Zhao playing the song. The angle of the cameraman was very good. Even the dialogue in the video was very clear. Ning Zhao's sentence, "This is a song for you," was enough for people to hear clearly. Yang Huiying was anxious and angry. She kept scrolling through the comments below. Some praised the beauty of the song, while others asked who the person playing the piano was. After flipping through for a while, someone finally pointed out that the name of the song in the video was Sunshine. As early as half a month ago, he had heard someone play it at Pine Forest Academy's graduation ceremony. The composer was obviously not the girl in the video. Yang Huiying saw this and suddenly had a plan in her heart. Half an hour later, a new post was posted on the forum. It was signed by Yang Huiying. In the post, she publicly claimed that she had seen the video on the forum. The girl in the video said that the piano piece was her original composition, but she had already played the piece on the big stage of Pine Forest Academy half a month ago. That girl was just a despicable plagiarist. She even put up photos. In the photo was the manuscript of this piano piece. This caused an uproar in the forum. Many people were condemning Gu Shengyin. The OP of the original post was also confused. He only said that he did not know this girl and that the video could have been taken during the banquet. When the netizens asked who the girl was, he refused to say anything. Tang Zhongyi received a call. Second young Master Tang, did you take a look at the Sound of Music forum? Someone said that the song Ning Zhao played for you the other day was plagiarized. Chapter 232. Tang Zhongyi flipped through the comments of the netizens page by page. Looking at Yang Huiying's righteous condemnation on the top floor, the anger in his heart could not be suppressed. Despicable plagiarist? Yang Huiying really dared to say that. Who was Zhao Zhao? How could she plagiarize other people's things? This song was specially written by Zhao Zhao for him. If she knew that she was used by Yang Huiying with ulterior motives, he did not know how sad she would be. He decided that he would not tell Zhao Zhao about this matter. But he hid it here and forgot that there was still Tang Qian. Tang Qian did not understand the sinister world of adults. He simply felt strange. Why did Auntie Zhao Zhao write it? But Teacher Yang said that he wrote it. When Tang Zhongyi came to Gu Xingyin's room, he saw a very unhappy Zhao Zhao. She sat on the bed hugging her legs and ignored his arrival. What's wrong? He sat beside her. Gu Shengyin secretly despised himself for trying to act cute, but his eyes turned red all of a sudden. Tang Zhongyi became anxious and hurriedly asked what made her unhappy. Gu Shengyin sobbed and said, Yang. I wrote it. Tang Zhongyi spent a long time to understand what she was talking about. Because of that woman Yang Huiying, his face was so gloomy that it could drip water. Zhao Zhao, you can rest assured that no one can take away your things. He swore to Gu Shengyin. However, Gu Shengyin tugged at his sleeve and handed him something. It was wrapped in a gift box shaped like a rabbit. Originally, it was your gift. After she said that, she remembered something and more tears fell. Tang Zhongyi did not have time to open the gift. He was in a hurry to coax Gu Shengyin for a long time. Finally, he coaxed the crying Gu Shengyin to sleep. He opened the gift. It was a CD. Tang Zhongyi left the room quietly and returned to the study. He turned on the computer and put the things on the CD. The girl in the picture seemed to be a little unaccustomed to the camera. She smiled shyly. It was Ning Zhao. This is my gift to you, Tang Zhongyi, you. This song contains everything I want to say to you. This song exists because of you. Although Ning Zhao's speech was no longer obstructed, it was rare for him to speak so coherently, let alone in front of a camera. Tang Zhongyi was sure that Zhao Zhao had practiced for a long time, even if it was such a short sentence. After that, the long-haired girl in white sat quietly in front of the piano, playing the song You over and over again. Her expression was so sincere, as if this song was her whole world. Tang Zhongyi didn't know how long he had been watching the video. The corners of his mouth unconsciously lifted into a smile. The anger brought about by Yang Huiying had unknowingly dissipated. Look, his girl's heart was also filled with him. She would carefully prepare a gift for him, try to speak to the camera for him, and make such a song for him. He opened the forum again. Yang Huiying's post had reached the top and appeared in the most popular place on the homepage. Many people supported Yang Huiying and advocated exposing this shameless plagiarist so that she could no longer stay in the music industry. Tang Zhongyi looked coldly at the top of the post. Yang Huiying. He was very reluctant to share this video with others, but Chapter 233. While Yang Huiying's plagiarism incident was in an uproar, another video was released. The person who released the video didn't hide his identity. He stated his position at the beginning. I never thought that there would be such a vicious and shameless person in the world. She actually dared to despicably plagiarize someone else's work and then frame the creator as a plagiarist. The person who spoke was Tang Zhongyi, and the video he released happened to be the gift Gu Shengyin gave him. In the video, the girl in the white dress played You over and over again. When they saw Gu Shengyin's video, the clamoring voices on the internet suddenly disappeared. It could be seen that the person who made this video was very attentive. The feelings that the girl poured into this song could be seen even by a layman. In contrast, Yang Huiying was much worse in terms of playing and expressing the meaning of this song. It was clear at a glance who was better and who was worse. More importantly, the date was clearly written in the lower right corner of the video. As early as half a year ago, this disc was recorded by Gu Shengyin bit by bit. During this period, Tang Zhongyi also went to Gu Shengyin and asked if she had any other videos. Gu Shengyin also gave him some scattered videos that weren't put on the disc. It was worth mentioning that the manuscript of the score that Yang Huiying used as evidence appeared in Gu Shengyin's video. In the video, the girl held a pen and kept writing and drawing on a piece of snow-white paper. Occasionally, she even erased some parts that she wasn't satisfied with. Some attentive netizens took the music score in the video and compared it with Yang Huiying's original. They were surprised to find that not only the handwriting, but even the mistakes in the erasure were exactly the same. Tang Zhongyi also asked a famous computer expert to prove that the video he posted had absolutely no trace of falsification. When the netizen posted the comparison picture, it was a slap in the face. Obviously, the manuscript that Yang Huiying took out was the result of someone else's labor. She was the one who had really plagiarized. Yang Huiying soon received a call from her tutor. The tutor roared through the phone, "What's with the video on the internet? Didn't you say that this was your original work? Yang Huiying, you've really disappointed me." The tutor hung up the phone directly. Yang Huiying held the phone tightly, her heart in a mess. The Academy's response came very quickly. Yang Huiying received an email from Pine Forest Academy, stating that Pine Forest Academy could not tolerate the appearance of students who plagiarized and maliciously slandered others, and that Yang Huiying's student status would be revoked. In other words, she, Yang Huiying, had been expelled from the school before she had even obtained her graduation certificate. It's over, everything is over. From now on, with such a stain on his name, he would never be able to establish himself in the music industry again. In the past, those classmates, whether they were better than him or not, would only look at him with disdain when they talked about him. Yang Huiying covered her head with her hands and buried herself deep in it, as if the things that she couldn't face had never happened. Gu Shengyi knew that the threat from Yang Huiying had been completely removed. Then, the rest. She looked at a certain man who was walking towards her with his back against the light. She smiled like a flower and took the initiative to give herself a hug. Chapter 234. Tang Zhongyi felt that he had used up all his luck to be able to meet Ning Zhao in this life. The first day he saw her, the sun was shining brightly. In the garden of the Ning family, the girl with her hair loose and sitting on the swing gently swayed his heart. After that, he took her back to the Ning family. The second young master of the Tang family learned how to take care of a person for the first time. He dried her hair, covered her with a blanket, and watched her sleep at night before he could feel at ease. If someone had told him in the past that he would do this for a woman one day, he would definitely have scoffed. But now, he looked up. Ning Zhao, who was already a mother of 2 children, was sitting quietly on the swing just like when they first met. She was holding a book and studying it carefully. The sun shone through the leaves above and scattered on the top of her head. It was as if time had never left any traces on her. She was still the same as when they first met 10 years ago. Quiet, beautiful, and no longer ethereal and unapproachable. He saw his 2-year-old daughter running towards her mother. The two of them said something, and the little girl plunged into her mother's arms. The mother and daughter laughed together. Now, he could no longer see the shadow of the Ning Zhao who had once closed herself off. She had become fond of laughing, taught the children how to play the piano, and played games with them. Dad, I want to go to Disneyland on Sunday. Mom has already agreed. The 4-year-old son looked like his mother, especially his pair of dark eyes. They were exactly the same. Okay, tomorrow, let's go together as a family. He smiled, picked up his son, and walked towards the 2 most important babies in his life. Gu Shengyin sat on a bench at the side and watched her husband and 2 children play on the merry-go-round. She couldn't play on this thing. She would feel dizzy the moment she sat on it, so she simply sat and watched the 3 of them play happily. Excuse me, are you Ning Zhao? A hesitant female voice sounded. Gu Shengyin heard this and looked over. The woman who spoke was wearing a cleaner's uniform. She wasn't bad looking, but her face had been carved with tired wrinkles under the ravages of time and life. He looked strangely familiar. Gu Shengyin pondered for a while and finally remembered who she was. Yang Huiying? Seeing Ning Zhao remember her, the woman breathed a sigh of relief. She smiled and said, "It's me. I didn't expect you to remember me." Gu Shengyin did not expect to see this woman again. After her mission was completed, the system would not be bound to her at all times after she was no longer threatened by the mission target. Instead, it would often enter a dormant state, so it did not prompt her earlier. Seeing Gu Shengyin's lukewarm reaction, Yang Huiying didn't care. Years of running around for a living had completely worn away her former sharpness. I thought your back looked familiar. I didn't expect it to really be you. She looked at Ning Zhao and said sincerely, I owe you an apology for what happened back then. Gu Shengyin did not expect that this woman would actually want to talk to her about this. She froze for a moment and then said, Those things, let bygones be bygones. Knowing that the other party didn't want to talk to her, Yang Huiying smiled and walked away. From afar, she looked back and saw the man she used to like when she was young. He walked to Ning Zhao's side and the 2 of them leaned against each other intimately. She shook her head and smiled. Chapter 235. Gu Shengyin opened her eyes as she felt a warm sensation. Body of light. She was born with the body of light. She heard an excited voice in front of her. At the same time, she realized that the light came from her body. When the light dissipated, Gu Shengyin was respectfully led to the side by a few people in white robes. She realized that there were many girls here, and without exception, they were all looking at her with jealousy. Gu Shengyin already had the ability to keep a straight face in front of others. She sat down elegantly and looked forward, but in reality, she was reading the plot of this world. This was a world of magic. Like many other worlds, the two major factions in this world were light and dark. The light side always had the upper hand and firmly held the faith of all the people on the Ouchi continent. This was because the most powerful god in this world was the omnipotent god of light. The original owner, Hathaway Louise, was originally a royal princess of the Ouchi Empire. She was chosen by the Holy Church, the largest power in the Ouchi continent. Because she was born with a body of light, she successfully became the new saintess of the Holy Church. The saintess of the Holy Church was the spokesperson of the Holy Church. She had to have the purest faith of light. Her body and mind had to be loyal to the God of Light. Hathaway was worthy of the title of Saintess of the Light. She spent almost all of her free time praying to God. In her eyes, God was omnipotent. God was her only faith. Even if God asked her to die immediately, she would do it without hesitation. The power of the believers of light came from the God of Light. The stronger the faith, the stronger the power of light. Hathaway became one of the most powerful people on the Ouchi continent in a short period of time. She was supposed to be honorable and dazzling, but because of the jealousy of her maids, they schemed against her, causing Hathaway to be tainted by the power of darkness. She was no longer pure and flawless, and her glory as the saintess was taken away. Hathaway couldn't accept that she couldn't serve God anymore, so she chose to end her life. Heidi was the maid who framed Hathaway. She was originally a candidate for the Saintess of the Light, just like Hathaway. But in the end, the Holy See chose Hathaway. Among the remaining candidates, the two with the best qualifications became the Saintess' personal maids. Heidi was unwilling. In her eyes, she wasn't any worse than Hathaway. But in the end, Hathaway became a saintess who was on equal footing with the Pope, while she was just a lowly maid. If Hathaway wasn't around, wouldn't he have a chance? Gu Shengyi knew that the ending of this world was that after Hathaway died, Heidi did not succeed in ascending to the throne. Her heart had already been occupied by jealousy and had become extremely filthy. She couldn't even maintain her faith in light, so how could she become a saintess who wholeheartedly served the God of Light? After receiving the plot, she couldn't help but want to facepalm. This body would become the Saint of Light in the future, which meant that her body and mind would belong to the God of Light. She would have to remain pure and unblemished for the rest of her life. Chastity was also a prerequisite for a saint. Once the saintess lost her chastity, her body would no longer be pure, and her faith in light would be tainted. She would be discovered immediately. Gu Shengyi lit a candle for her lover in this world. Chapter 236. System, as the Saintess of the Light, I must have pure faith. I can't do that. What if I'm found out? Gu Shengyi frowned as she thought of this. The system said confidently, "Don't worry, I'll do it." Gu Shengyi felt as if the system had injected energy into the depths of her mind. After that, she realized that something was wrong with her. For example, she was currently sitting in the Holy Church of the Light. At the highest point of the Holy Church was the statue of the God of Light. When Gu Shengyi saw the statue, she had the urge to rush over and worship it. Gu Shengyi stopped herself with difficulty. She asked the system quietly, "What did you do to me?" The system said, "It's a product of the system. It can gather the host's faith in a short period of time. Don't worry, the host will still maintain her original thoughts. You don't have to worry about being brainwashed." Gu Shengyi thought. Alright, in her eyes, the system is still very reliable. The primary selection of the Light Curia ended quickly. Gu Shengyi and the other 9 saintess candidates were brought to the largest church in the Ouchi continent, the Holy Church of Light. This was also the headquarters of the Light Curia in the Ouchi continent. It was said that a god had once descended here. It was said that the God of Light liked beautiful and exquisite objects. The entire Holy Church of Light shone brightly and was extremely beautiful. A few girls could not help but look around. One of them even let out a gasp of surprise. As a high-class saintess candidate, Gu Shengyi naturally did not look sideways the entire time. She perfectly demonstrated what it meant to be noble. The bishop who was leading them saw the reactions of the group and nodded to himself. As for the few people who exclaimed earlier, they were already on the list of candidates in his mind. Seeing such a small thing and making such a big fuss. As the Saintess of the Light Curia, she would have to face many big situations in the future. In the future, she would represent the entire Curia. If this happened elsewhere, the Light Curia would lose all its face. They were brought to the Holy Church's holy church. Gu Shengyin looked up and saw the high and mighty God of Light in front of her. The incomparably gorgeous man held a scepter in his hand and sat upright on a luxurious throne. His face was shrouded in a layer of divine light, and no one could see his face. Even so, this man had a kind of charm that made everyone unable to help but admire him. This was especially true for Gu Shengyin, who was currently being condensed with faith. She only felt that she was completely out of control as she walked straight towards the divine throne. Then, he knelt on the ground in a pious manner. "O great Lord, I am your most loyal and devout believer. Please allow me to pray to you." She began to chant in a low voice. Everyone else was shocked. Even the bishop was confused by this development. He looked at the white-clothed woman kneeling before the divine throne and thought to himself, could it be that she did it on purpose? Did he purposely make such a gesture for the people of the Holy See? Thinking of this, the bishop felt that it was a pity. Originally, because she was born with a body of light, the scepter of the Saintess of Light would have fallen into her hands. However, he couldn't wait to prove himself as the god of the great Cathedral of Light. He wasn't just a decoration. In the high and mighty heavenly realm, countless rare flowers bloomed. The angels displayed their beautiful singing and moving dancing. All of this was for the man who was leaning on the throne with his eyes closed. Chapter 237. He had a face that even the most legendary sculptor in the entire Ouchi continent couldn't create. He just sat there quietly with his eyes closed, but no one could ignore his existence. The angels looked at him with undisguised longing and adoration. He seemed to feel something. His eyelids trembled slightly, and he opened his eyes. That pair of golden eyes was more dazzling than any light in the world. He felt a pure power of faith. It had been a long time since a believer gave him such a comfortable feeling. The God of Light curiously looked at the source of this faith. He saw a human girl with her head lowered in a devout manner as she prayed to his statue. The endless power of faith was coming from her body. The God of Light suddenly had a strong feeling. He felt that he should know her. He wanted to see what this girl looked like. The will of the God of Light was just a thought. Gu Shengyin quickly raised her head. The God of Light stared at her face. Her golden hair was carefully tied together and hung behind her head. On her forehead was a thin silver chain with a sparkling blue crystal. What was even clearer than the crystals were her eyes, which were as blue as the sky. It was as if everything in the world could be seen in her eyes. This girl had a beauty that even the heavenly realm angels couldn't reach. The God of Light frowned. He always felt that she shouldn't look like this. But if she didn't look like this, what should she look like? Long black hair. A thought appeared in his mind. Wait, isn't that the color of darkness? The God of Light laughed. No one could hide anything in front of the God. This girl was born with the body of light. She couldn't be related to the demons. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw that the girl had finished praying and was about to get up. At that moment, Gu Shengyin really wanted to cover her face. She actually started praying in front of so many people without any scruples. At that moment, those people from the Light Curia must have thought that she was an opportunist. She sighed. No matter what, she still had to fight for the position of saintess. Just as she was about to turn and leave, something strange happened. A bright light rose from the scepter in the hands of the statue and shot towards Gu Shengyin. Gu Shengyin's entire body was bathed in the rich power of light. This feeling was too comfortable, and she couldn't help but sigh. Looking at her satisfied expression, the God of Light chuckled. His eyes were filled with love that even he didn't know about. The angels in heavenly realm looked at each other. They did not know what had happened to make God so happy. Everyone in the great sage hall was stunned by this scene. Other than the bishops and saintess candidates who were originally with Gu Shengyin, there were also the Pope and cardinals who had rushed over after sensing the abnormalities in the great cathedral. As soon as they entered, they saw Gu Shengyin, who was being baptized by divine light below the divine throne. God! The Pope immediately knelt down. The rest of the people also came back to their senses and knelt on the ground. The God of Light ignored them. He sensed for a moment, and after confirming that his believer could not withstand any more power of light, he retracted the divine light. Gu Shengyin opened her eyes in confusion. Chapter 238. She had no idea what had just happened. System? She asked hesitantly. The system said, "The host has received the love of the most powerful being in this world, the God of Light." Gu Shengyin thought to herself, "It's really an unintentional thing." Now that the statue had returned to its original state, the Pope and the others stood up one by one. Gu Shengyin felt that the kind and holy Pope was looking at her as if he was looking at a rare treasure. She subconsciously walked towards him, and suddenly realized that her body seemed to have changed. The Pope seemed to know her doubts, and raised his hand to condense a light mirror with light magic, allowing Gu Shengyin to see herself in the mirror. Her facial features did not change, but on the fair forehead of the person in the mirror, there was a golden divine pattern that appeared out of nowhere. The pattern was complicated and beautiful, and it was shining. It made Hathaway's originally delicate face look even more beautiful and holy. This was the glory that God had bestowed upon his most beloved people. The Pope had already recovered, and he looked at Gu Shengyin with a smile. "Child, are you Hathaway?" Gu Shengyin bowed to him and nodded. The Pope, who had been observing Gu Shengyin all this time, felt very unhappy when he saw her gesture. Who in this world was worthy of her bow? The Pope seemed to have sensed something, and his feet moved slightly, and he dodged Gu Shengyin's bow. Looking at the surprised looks of the bishops behind him, the Pope did not explain. His attainment in light magic was close to that of a demigod, so he could naturally sense some things. When Gu Shengyin bowed to him, his intuition told him that if he accepted her bow, there would be terrible consequences. The status of the Holy See's saintess is comparable to this old man. "Hathaway, you don't have to bow to me," the Pope said kindly to Gu Shengyin. This sentence directly acknowledged Gu Shengyin's status as the Holy Maiden. The cardinals behind him were not surprised at all. They all saw clearly that the God of Light had personally blessed the saintess, which meant that the saintess was a candidate that the God of Light approved and was even satisfied with. At this time, their opinions were no longer important. However, the other candidates did not think so. Why? Wasn't there another test later? We haven't even tried. Why should we be eliminated? A girl standing beside Heidi was not convinced. Heidi lowered her eyes and sneered in her heart. This idiot. Although she thought the same in her heart, she also knew that saying such words at a time like this was absolutely brainless behavior. As expected, the Pope's expression turned cold. He was polite to Gu Shengyin because she was the saintess who was favored by the God of Light. How dare this girl question the Holy See's decision? This is the will of the God of Light. If you have any questions, you can ask God. The girl was at a loss for words. Raise an objection to God? Just now, everyone saw that God was clearly very satisfied with Hathaway, and that was why he had personally blessed her. If she went to pray, God would not even give her a look. The matter of Gu Shengyin becoming the saintess of the Holy See was thus settled. Just like in the original plot, Heidi and another girl named Vivian became the saintess' personal maid. Chapter 239. The Pope held the scepter that symbolized the status and glory of the saintess and handed it over to Gu Shengyin. Everyone remained silent as they stared at this historic scene. The masters of oil painting and sculpting firmly engraved this scene in their minds. This kind of occasion was bound to be recorded in the annals of history and passed down to the world. However, a scene that no one had expected occurred. Gu Shengyin's hand hadn't even touched the scepter when that scepter made of the strongest and most precious material in the entire Ouchi continent shattered inch by inch. It fell to the ground and was burned to ashes by the golden godfire. Gu Shengyin, the Pope. There was only one person who could do this. Everyone looked at the high and mighty statue of the light god. Many people had already knelt down. The Pope looked at Gu Shengyin in confusion. Wasn't Hathaway the saintess who was favored by God? But if God really favored her, why did he destroy the scepter? After all, a saintess without a scepter wouldn't be recognized by the masses. Some nobles were already whispering that this saintess's faith wasn't pure and caused God's dissatisfaction. That was why she destroyed the saintess' scepter in anger. Some people were already shouting that they should severely punish Gu Shengyin, the saintess who caused God's dissatisfaction. This suggestion was actually approved by many people. Gu Shengyin glanced over and saw that the speaker was someone from the Aquamarine Empire. The Aquamarine Empire was a new empire and was famous for its belligerence. It had always been at odds with the oldest empire on the continent, the Ouchi Empire. Hathaway was the niece of the Ouchi Empire's emperor, so the people of the Aquamarine Empire naturally didn't want her to become the saintess. Unlike the people from the Aquamarine Empire who were gloating, the people from the Ouchi Empire were looking at Gu Shengyin with worry. Heidi lowered her head slightly, her eyes filled with schadenfreude. She couldn't wait for Gu Shengyin, the holy maiden, to be deposed. That way, she would have a better chance, wouldn't it? The Pope did not believe that this was because the gods were dissatisfied with the saintess. After all, the robe that Gu Shengyin was wearing was a gift from the god of light. Gu Shengyin ignored everything around her. She just stood there quietly, as if she was waiting for a result. Sure enough, when the people of the Aquamarine Empire began to clamor, the high and mighty god finally responded. A golden light rose from the statue, and an illusory figure walked out from the statue. Many people felt a stinging pain in their eyes and had no choice but to lower their heads. Soon after, they realized who that person was. God's descent. The entire great cathedral fell to their knees. Even the Pope did the same. Only Gu Shengyin remained standing. It wasn't that she didn't want to kneel, but that she couldn't. The moment she saw the figure, her first reaction was the same as everyone else's. However, an inexplicable force held her back. The figure walked step by step through the void until it reached Gu Shengyin's side. "The scepter of mortals is not worthy of your glory, my most devout believer." The god's low voice resounded in the great cathedral, resounding in everyone's hearts. Gu Shengyin looked at the figure in front of her in shock. It was just an illusory figure, but it seemed to have the power to destroy heaven and earth. No one doubted the true identity of the person in front of them. The God of Light. Chapter 240. The God of Light smiled as he looked at his follower's stunned face. "Oh, he looks even better this way." He slowly raised his right hand, and a golden light gradually condensed in his hand. When the light dissipated, the item in his hand appeared in front of Gu Shengyin's eyes. It was a silver scepter. "This is the glory I bestow upon you." The God of Light handed the scepter to Gu Shengyin. Gu Shengyin came back to her senses in a daze. She stretched out her hands and carefully received the scepter. The God of Light seemed to chuckle, and he slowly bent down. Gu Shengyin only felt a slight chill on her forehead. When she looked up, the God of Light's figure had already disappeared. "My follower, be well and pass on my glory." Only these words were left, and they seemed to linger in her ears. Only when the God of Light's aura completely disappeared from the great cathedral did everyone dare to raise their heads. They looked at the Saint of Light standing alone on the high platform, and the noble scepter in her hand. Their eyes were filled with unconcealable respect and envy. The God of Light's glory and favor had reached this level. Who would dare to say anything about the status of the Saint of Light? The people of the Aquamarine Empire were extremely regretful of their previous words. The Pope was pleasantly surprised. A saint who was deeply loved by the gods had appeared in the Holy Church. This was clearly a good thing for the Holy Church, wasn't it? He couldn't suppress his joy as he announced, "I declare that from today onwards, Hathaway Louise will be the most glorious and holy saint of light of the Holy Church. She will become the emissary of the God of Light, and bring the glory of the God of Light to every corner of the Ouchi continent." No one had the slightest objection. Heidi lowered her head. She was extremely jealous. Why? Why would the God of Light favor Hathaway so much? She was clearly a devout believer of the God of Light, wasn't she? When Gu Shengyin returned to her bedroom, she was still in a daze. "System, tell me, why does the God of Light treat me so differently?" She couldn't figure it out. The system said, "This world is considered a high-level plane among the 3,000 worlds, and the God of Light is a powerful level 1 God. The most I can do is ensure that my existence is not discovered by him, but I can't find out what he's thinking." Gu Shengyin was a little excited. "That's a God. I have never seen a God before. Unfortunately, I can't see his face." System. I hope this sentence won't be known by a certain existence. Gu Shengyin took out the scepter given to her by the God of Light. The entire scepter was silver-white in color, and its craftsmanship was exquisite. There was a huge blue crystal embedded at the top of the scepter. Even though it was placed there quietly, Gu Shengyin could feel the powerful light energy contained within it. According to Hathaway's memories, there wasn't any energy stone in Ouchi that could contain such a terrifying amount of energy. This was probably something from the realm of gods. Gu Shengyin glanced at the scepter, then looked at the beautiful robe she was wearing. She then thought of the noble and magnificent statue in the great Cathedral of Light. She silently complained to the system, "People say that the God of Light likes luxurious things, and now I really believe it." As far as the eye could see, there wasn't a single thing related to the gods that was low-key. Gu Shengyin, who also liked luxurious things deep down, smiled with sparkling eyes. "I can ride on such a coattail." You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.